When you hear me say the words, shame on you, shame on you, what memories pop into your mind? Definitely not like encouraging or uplifting, K-love kind of memories, right? No, I hear that and I want to hide. I want to delete. I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't want to bring that into the light. You agree with me? Yeah, I don't want the shame on me. I want to shake the shame off. Like, I want to forget about it. Yeah. I have whole periods of my life that I wish I had a holy eraser, like the old fashioned, and I could just erase, okay, that didn't happen, didn't talk to him, didn't go there, didn't do that. Yeah, whole periods. And as I was contemplating whether I was going to share a season of shame with you, I knew it was a risk because you could judge me, right? You could compare. You could say, shame on you. But then I thought, what if? What if I do share a season of shame that I've walked through? What if it connects our hearts? What if we grow together? Then is it worth it? Yes. So I'm going to take the risk. Yeah. My hope in taking this risk is it will move us on a pathway towards compassion and courage and hope and healing. You ready? Okay. When I tell you I have been married to my high school sweetheart for almost 30 years, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh, that's so sweet and innocent. Oh, and pure. And I would be like, no, that's not the true love story. The true love story is that we met when I was 15. Dan was 1 grade older. And we did date in high school and into college. But there is a season that I would like to erase. Right. I wish that I could tell you that we trusted in the Lord and that He put our feet on a straight path and it was smooth and beautiful. Wouldn't that be great if that was life's equation? Like you trust and 100% smooth. Yeah, I see all these heads like going, well, that's not reality, right? That's not real life. God allows us to make mistakes, to fall flat on our face and to fail. I think He knows that it's in the failure that we learn. Yeah. But oftentimes, those failures leave us feeling confused and definitely covered with shame. Yeah. So I was ready to get married to Dan in college. So we were going through college together, and I was like, this is so cool. So if we got married, you could live with me during my senior year. When you've graduated, we could live in student housing. It would be awesome. I thought it was a great idea. Guess what? Scared the living daylights out of him. I mean, he started distancing himself from me. He started walking away. And I was like, what's going on? I thought we were getting married. At the very same time, my grandfather, who I called Papa, suddenly fell ill to cancer and died. It was a shock. He is the man who introduced me to Jesus, his best friend. He is the one who said, Laura, I love you. And his love was unconditional. He was my spiritual mentor. So when God allowed my Papa to die young of cancer, I said, I'm done. And I walked away. I walked away from God, the prodigal daughter. Some of you are nodding. Yeah. At the same time, Dan walked away from me. And I felt betrayed and abandoned and so heartbroken. Not a good combination for a senior in college. And a college that is saying, girl, seek happiness. I know places you can go to become popular and seek status. And guys, I was like, sign me up. Sign this girl up. So instead of seeking Jesus my senior year in college, I went seeking men's approval and attraction and attention. I see lots of heads nodding. My roommates would describe this season of my life as being very spontaneous. somewhat unpredictable, and dangerous. They were right. Definitely not me. Definitely not me. One of my roommates is watching. Yeah, she could tell you. Don't tell them. Don't tell them everything. So I will be honest with you. I made a list of guys that I wanted to pursue at my college. I know. And the first guy I put on the list was a guy that I don't know if he'd ever dated anyone in college, but he was the top of our class. He was in an honor society. He came from money. He was great looking, and he was Jewish. And so I was intrigued. I'd never dated a Jewish man. So let's call him Solomon. Solomon, okay? He fits. Solomon. So I started dating Solomon for a little while, and it was fun. It was intriguing. And I thought it was great until it wasn't. And I got bored, and I just sent him on his way. Said, we're done. So then I went down the list. The next guy on the list, oh, we don't need to talk about him. Or the next guy. Or the next guy. Okay, I want to talk about the Delta Psi fraternity president. Okay, he was like the fourth guy. He was fun. He wasn't as smart and brilliant as Solomon. Let's call him Brian. Not Brain, Brian. And Brian and I had a lot of fun together. It was going great. We dated for a while. But the whole time I dated Brian, I tried to mold him and change him and make him into the man that I was missing, Dan. And he went along with it for a while. And Brian, we were doing the same things that Dan and I did. We were going to the same places. It was awesome. And then he finally was like, that's not me. This is me. And I broke up. I later learned from mutual friends that I broke Brian's heart. Yeah. And he told my girlfriend, he said, I will never trust women like her. Women like her? Me? And I looked in the mirror and I said, what have I done? And who have I become? That was not me. And I thought leaving a wake of beautiful men, successful men behind me would somehow give me power and control, but all it did is left me lonely and covered in shame. Yeah. I wish I could tell you that once I returned to Jesus, then like that, he healed me and all was great. Yes and no. Because we know that we are healed by grace. We are forgiven. It's a free gift. So that was immediate. But ladies, I still have scars on my soul from that year in college. And I carry that into my adulthood and even today. And I share those scars with my college-aged daughters now. Yeah. It's still painful. So I've been thinking a lot about shame lately. And I thought maybe that's the one commonality that all of the women in the Bible who stood face to face with Jesus, they all felt shame. Think about it for a moment. So Mary Magdalene, when Jesus met her and she was possessed by 7 demons, would she have felt shame? Certainly. She was probably looking around and saying, everybody else here is normal, and I feel like a freak. What about the woman caught in adultery, caught in the act, thrown in front of religious leaders who hated women like her? Was she full of shame? Yes. If you go through all of these women, including the women we're going to spend time with today, the woman at the well, she went to the well ashamed, in hiding. Same thread, shame thread, all the way through. I have been studying Brene Brown, who's a doctor of psychology. She has done over a decade work in the whole concept of shame. And what I've learned from her is that what our grandmothers and mothers weren't willing to talk about, because it has existed forever. Shame is timeless. It's even in the Bible, obviously, and it's today. But generations ago, we didn't talk about it. It was called the silent epidemic. But I am so grateful to God and to scientists like Brene Brown that we have brought it into the light and we can talk about the hard issue of shame together. So I invite you into this hard conversation with me. So let's talk about shame, but not in a way that's going to make us feel like we're being pressed down or invisible or forgotten. No. I want to talk about shame in the light of Jesus' love. In his love, even if we're covered with shame, his love can build us up, give us hope, and put our feet on a path of compassion and courage and confidence. It's a pathway we can all take. More encouragement, less judgment. More hope, less despair. More courage and less insecurity. Does that sound good? Are we ready? Well, I know a courageous woman in the Bible, the woman at the well, whom Jesus met on a very hot and dry day at noon. If we follow their footsteps, it will take us in our familiar pathway from labeled, loved, touched, and transformed. Let's take off. Okay, this powerful pathway brings us to transformation, and it begins with labels. So I want you to imagine the woman at the well's story is found in the chapter 4 of John, and you're going to have a chance to read that in your small group, and I hope you'll spend time with God reading her the extent of her entire story. It's amazing. She had a very long conversation with Jesus. She was labeled 3 labels: Samaritan woman, divorcee, and shameful. And I want to walk through those with you. So the first one is Samaritan woman. It just means that she lived in the region of Samaria. Jews had been deported from Israel and moved to Samaria. Other nationalities, other people groups had also moved into that area. And the Jews started to intermarry. They were marrying one another, assimilating. And the Jews outside of Samaria said, that is terrible. That is not God's plan. And so they stereotyped and hated the Samaritans. They called them half-breeds. And they had a racial prejudice. It existed all the way in the Bible. It's timeless and so sad. All of the Jews would travel far distances to go around Samaria because they didn't want to go through. They didn't even want to be close to those hated people. But Jesus said, no way. I'm going right through because I have a divine appointment with a woman at the well at noon. So our next label is divorcee. So she was divorced, and I want us to practice compassion right now. Are you willing? Yes. We practice compassion, our compassion muscle grows. So I want you to imagine right now that this woman had been married 5 times. We don't know her whole backstory, but just imagine with me. Let's say her first husband died unexpectedly, tragically. Would we have compassion for her? Of course. Of course. Oh my gosh, our heart would go out to her. What if her second husband married her because he thought he needed a cook and a baker? But she was orphaned as a child, and no one ever taught her how to cook or bake. And he sent her packing. Because at that time, you could divorce a woman for any reason under the sun. Would we have compassion for her? Yeah. Would we sign her up for the Pioneer Woman Cooking class? Yeah. No. Okay. The third husband, just imagine, what if he said, we need to have children. Right now, we need to have children. And just like Hannah and Sarah in the Bible, she couldn't have children. And so he divorced her. Oh, would our hearts go out? Yeah. I can see compassion in your faces. Yeah. So what if her fourth husband was abusive and she fled? Would we cheer her on? Would we say, way to go, girl? Yes, get out of there. Run for your safety. Yes. And what if her fifth husband? What if he found a younger, more beautiful model, a version of her, and said, I'm done with you, and threw her away? Would we have compassion? Of course. Of course. So we can see this woman in the light of compassion, the way that Jesus sees her, not with shame or judgment. The definition of shame in the science world, and I think God would agree because oh my gosh, God wants us to find connection. And the definition, according to Brene Brown's research team, is an intensely painful feeling, an experience where you believe that you are flawed and unworthy of love and belonging. And you feel as if something that you've experienced or done has made you unworthy of connection. Yeah, that's not God's plan for our life. He built us for connection. So in getting ready for this presentation and tonight to spend with you, I looked at all of Brene Brown's findings on shame, and they're so plentiful. But there's 3 that I want to point out to you tonight. The first one is shame is universal. It means every woman, every time, throughout history, has experienced shame at some time, at some level. We would agree with that, right? The second thing is shame is very damaging. The findings show that shame is often what drives us to hate our bodies. We stop taking risks as shame increases. We hide parts of our lives that we don't want anyone to see. And the third thing is that shame is very isolating. It breaks the connection with community. So we shrink back in our shame and we feel as if we're invisible or forgotten. Yeah. And that brings me to the labels we put on ourselves. Sometimes we feel shame because other people have called us names, and meanwhile, we're calling ourselves names. So I ask you, when you were growing up, or even recently, what have others called you? What have others called you? Maybe you weren't in the top reading group when you were growing up. Maybe you weren't in the Bluebirds, you were in the Ducks or something, I don't know. So maybe you thought somebody called you stupid, and somebody else got trapped in comparison, called you ugly, and said, good thing she has brains, she doesn't have looks. Woo, this one's close to my heart. My dad called me this growing up because I was boy crazy. He called me slut. Oh wait, I'm going to put that here. And here, bad. Have you ever been called bad mom, bad friend, bad neighbor, bad? Oh, so many nods. Yeah, bad. Oh, here's one. I surveyed over 100 women, the labels that they had put upon themselves, and this one came up over and over and over again. Bad. Number 1. We'll put that right here. Yes. This, I have heard some of you call yourself this. Lazy. Lazy. I had lots of heads nodding. I'm running out of space. Oh, this is something our younger generation talks about all the time. I'm not enough. Comparing yourself on social media, looking at how many likes and influencers. And this one, too. Fill in the blank. Too what? Too skinny? Too fat? Too early? Too late? Too what? Give me some examples. Too much? Too much? Too loud? Too old? Too young? We could go either way. Too. Yes. Too hairy? Okay. That we talked about all the different stages of life, women, last week. There you go. Too hairy. That would be in the perimenopause, menopausal. Okay. So, you young things, you don't have to worry about it. So, God, does he call us any of these things? No. I want to remind you, God calls you everything from A to Z, but what he calls you is adopted and beloved and blessed and called and chosen, daughter of the King, eternal, forgiven, full of grace, and enough. So let's practice it. I am enough. Say it. And repeat that to yourself over and over and over again, and start breaking those tapes in your head. Yes. So none of these labels matter to God at all. Jesus teaches that his unconditional love changes us from the inside out. So his love and the encounter that he had with the woman at the well was so vastly different than she could ever imagine. She had a physical encounter with Jesus where he could say, I see you. You're not invisible. So I imagine that she's hiding. She's sneaking to the well in the middle of the day because she doesn't want to be seen. The tapes in her head are saying, I'm better off alone. I don't want to be seen. I need to hide from others, hide from their gossip, hide from their name calling. Where Jesus says, I see everything. I see what you've done and who you've become, and I see you and love you. The woman at the well and Jesus also had an emotional encounter where he said, I want to speak to you. I want to talk to you. And she was like, what? How can a man talk to a woman in that culture? It was unheard of. How could a Jew talk to a Samaritan? That was unheard of. The woman, in her mind, her tapes are saying, oh, I'm unworthy of friendship. I'm unworthy of connection. I don't have real relationships, and I never will belong anywhere. And Jesus said, no. I was willing to cross barriers. I was willing to break down borders and see you at this time, right here, right now. I came to speak to you because you matter to me and you matter to God. And the woman at the well had a spiritual encounter with Jesus where he said, share with me. I want to share with you. I want to share water with you. I want to share the fact that I'm the living water. Will you share with me? And she was like, what are you talking about? This is unheard of. This is crazy stuff. Yeah. So maybe the talk in her brain was saying, I've always been excluded. I'm really worthless. I should be thrown away. I should be forgotten. And Jesus said, no, that's not true. Those tapes, those are lies. I chose you to be the first one to know my true identity. And in that intimate moment, Jesus told her that he was the long-awaited Messiah. He said, I am the Christ. I am where the living water comes from. I am all that you need. I am enough. Psalm 23 says, the Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. Jesus is enough, right? So that day, she not only heard his identity, she heard her new identity. And Jesus gave her a divine assignment. He said, I want you to come out of hiding, and I want you to go back into your village, and I want you to be the first missionary on mission. I want you to be a messenger on mission and tell everyone that you've been hiding from, come and see a man who told me everything about me. Could he be the Christ? What a powerful question. Yeah. Her encounter with Jesus changed everything. His touch gave her unstoppable faith because he revealed the truth, and the truth will set us free. Even before he told the disciples, he told her. His touch gave her unfailing hope. God was not done with her. And some of you, that's all you needed to hear tonight. God is not done with you. Yeah. And her hope must have soared, because he healed her spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and set her feet on a path of growth. Praise God. He wants to do the same with us. Yeah. He wants us to drop our labels, ladies, just like the woman at the well. Jesus said, you can come out of hiding. I see you, and I have given you a purpose. You've been living excluded, and now I want to include you in my kingdom. I want to give you a powerful mission. I want you to leave your life of shame, and I want you to step into my unconditional love. Yes. Did I get them all? Yes. And you are more than enough. And you're not stupid. Yeah. Jesus' love makes us enough. Yeah, her story models something for us that is so profound. I was asking the Lord to give me some freshness, like fresh eyes. Let me see something that I've never seen before. And I want to share with you what popped off the page in John chapter 4 is her questions. She was so inquisitive. She was like, "Why are you asking me? And why would I give you a drink? And where are we going to worship?" And for the longest time, I thought she was just trying to change the subject. No, I think curiosity is the key that unlocks compassion and courage. Just go there with me for a few minutes. Yeah. So, what if her pathway of curiosity put her feet on that courageous path? Let's take a look. Steps of courage. Yes, we can. I'm going to encourage you to get curious this week. Get curious. Curiosity is when we have an inquisitive thinking, we explore things, we investigate, we open our eyes, we set ourselves in a space of learning where new knowledge, we take prior knowledge, we connect it with new knowledge. Our eyes open up when we're curious. What happens to the brain? I studied this. What happens to the brain when we get curious? It's amazing. We go from passive thinking to active thinking. It's like this switch. Wow. We go from observing our life to participating, to connecting dots that maybe we've never seen before. Yeah, amazing. What seemed like impossible before curiosity, all of a sudden we start to see the possibility that might actually work, that might actually heal. Yeah. So exciting. Curiosity can put our feet on a path when we are seeking God's plans for our lives. Curiosity can be the one that opens the door. It's the key. So I'm going to encourage you to get curious. I'm also going to say, ladies, we've got to give ourselves compassion. We absolutely need to live with self-compassion. I want to challenge you to treat yourself this week as if you were treating, talking, walking, living with your best friend. Wow. Yes. Treat yourself like your best friend. So what does self-compassion look like, sound like, and feel like? Well, it sounds like self-kindness. It feels like self-kindness. It's not self-judgment. So when you start judging yourself, nope, I'm living in the space of kindness. It's noticing our true emotions, all the different parts of us, not trying to squelch or deny or press down or ignore or pretend. It's really acknowledging who you are and what stage of life, what's going on inside of you. And it's being human, not perfect. I thought it was so profound to find that perfectionism robs us of compassion. And for so long, ladies, we've been trying to be perfect, but Jesus is the only perfect one. So let's give ourselves compassion. And the last one is self-aware. You've been given strengths by God, and we also have weaknesses, right? So let's live in our strengths and rely on one another to fill in the gaps. Because I can tell you, I will never be an accountant. I need an accountant. I will never be an artist. I will never be a ballet dancer. I'll never be a basketball player. Those are not my gifts. But I love being a teacher. I love being an encourager. I love being a leader. You have your gifts. When you bring your gifts to the table and I bring my gifts to the table, we build an unstoppable kingdom. It's powerful, so powerful. So let's stay in a place of strength, noticing who we are and how God made us. And we can be thankful. So we want to get curious, give ourselves compassion, give each other compassion, and lastly, we want to grow in courage. We want to grow in courage. And this is important. So I want you to think of what is the next step God has for you. Not the 5-year plan, not the marathon map. What's the next step? One step. So it might look like, I'm afraid, but I really feel like this is the next step God has for me. Do it afraid. Okay? Do it afraid. I'm looking at somebody. Do it afraid. Maybe it looks like one step is my marriage. We need help, or I need help. Mentally, emotionally, physically, something. I need to make a phone call. I need to set up a counseling session. Maybe it's I need to give a true prayer request in my small group. I need to share a secret so I'm not carrying around this burden. Maybe it's God is calling you to do the next hard thing. Because ladies, we can. If we're following Jesus, did he do hard things? Yeah. He fought for the least of these. He lifted up women, the poor, the outcasts. He may be calling you to do the very same thing. I think he is for all of us. I have been praying, Jesus, where you go, I will go, and who you love, I will love. And I think that's the world we want to live in, right? So we can put our feet, we can be curious, compassionate, and grow in courage. And when those things happen, love grows and shame shrinks. That's what's called shame resilience. Isn't that awesome? Shame resilience. So we all benefit. When you grow in love and your shame shrinks, then we all grow. Individually, globally, collectively. Because love heals and hope rises. And don't we need to live in a world where both love grows and hope rises? That's my prayer. Please pray with me. Jesus, thank you so much for seeing the woman at the well. She was in hiding, and you brought her into your light and your love. Thank you for seeing her. Thank you for speaking to her. Thank you for giving her such an amazing assignment. Oh, for your kingdom, your purpose. And I know, Lord, you have given each and every one of us a divine assignment. So speak to us this week. Let us know your will, your way, and what is the next step of curiosity, compassion, and courage you want us to take. We trust you. We love you. It's in your awesome name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. That was great.
Thank you, Jen.
What I loved is a couple things. When my daughter was in middle school, I kept seeing people say, "Oh, you're so," put these labels on. And so I got real passionate about, nope, nobody gets to define you except for God. So not yourself when you take yourself down, or somebody else. And so I love this, replacing lies with truth that God says about us. And then I also love this.
You don't want to wear this? You don't want to wear this?
Too. I am too.
No, I'm just kidding.
And yeah, and then I love that she was seen, and that God can handle all of me when I'm seen. He can see it all, and he loves me. When I ask a lot of questions, it's because I usually don't trust. I ask a lot of questions, and I don't really trust. Yeah, and so I want to know. Like, I want to, when I do that, and so she was asking questions, and all of a sudden she was seen. She found out she was loved, and that's what God does with us too. He shows up when we ask questions.
Awesome.
So anyway,
Great.
Thanks for that. And also, can we now talk about this retreat and tell them all the fun things that are coming?
After we give them our quick reminders.
Okay, quick reminders. Our first reminder is that if on your online app workbook, if you would like to do the optional opportunities, they're on pages 16 and 17. So you can dive deeper into this study by looking at those couple pages.
Yeah, we've given you activities and journal questions and just an opportunity to spend time face-to-face with Jesus.
And Laura's amazing Soul Enchilada podcast. There's also, you can listen to deepen your understanding, hear more from a therapist and Laura, just diving deep into these questions, which is amazing. So that'll be found on page 17, which podcast correlates to this study.
Great.
Okay, and now can we talk about it?
Yes.
Because you need to know why it's called a retreat.
Right. So, one-day retreat, resilient. Ladies, it is right around the corner. It's like happening right this second. We need you to go home and sign up tonight, right? We're talking to the caterer tomorrow.
Yeah. Who's invited to this?
Oh my gosh, everyone is invited. Everyone in this room, everyone online, just get your group, caravan to Colorado. We want to see you here in this room, wherever you are, Kansas, shouting out to Kansas. They're the closest ones to us. Come here. It's going to be a beautiful day. You can invite friends. You can invite middle schoolers, high schoolers,
What's it going
grandmas.
to be like? Tell me more. Tell me more. What's it going to be like?
Well, let's see. If you look here, there's a whole list of things that we're going to be doing. We're going to have live teaching, small groups. We're going to sit around circle tables and talk. We're going to have activities. We're going to have restful time, activity times. We have yoga, stretching. Oh my goodness.
What are you
journaling.
teaching on?
Wait, there's one we didn't say yet. Tattoos.
You guys, yoga, tattoo artist.
I mean,
Really?
it's Boulder. Come on.
Welcome to Colorado.
It's a retreat.
My daughter,
You don't have to get a tattoo, but if you'd like to, they're going to be super, super, super discounted. How many of you want to get a tattoo? I'm curious. Okay.
I might get my first tattoo, you guys.
That's exciting. And we are talking also with a massage therapist. So it's a beautiful day for you. It's
Retreat.
We're not giving you a sack lunch. We have a caterer, wonderful food, wonderful time. We're going to lavish love on you all day.
Jesus, tattoos.
I mean, perfect.
Women. I mean, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
What are you going to teach on?
Oh, it's kind of like the culmination of this study. And it's looking at the woman who was bent over in the Bible for a long time, and Jesus touched her, and she was able to rise up resilient. And one of the reasons why we're bent over, ladies, is because we're letting parts of our lives, like whole seasons of our lives, keep us trapped. And what we're going to do is look at our life as a book, and we're going to look at those chapters that we wish we could pull out and rip up and throw away or burn. But we're going to look and see how God could use that chapter of our life for His glory and His good, because God never wastes a chapter.
Yeah, I feel
And so
that.
we're going to give you tools to look at each of those chapters differently. Narrative therapy, we've got lots of great tools for you to think of, like, I'm going to hand the pen to Jesus and we're going to write the rest of my life together.
That's good, because I feel those things in my body, even today. You know, it's been heavy. Like, I have a heavy day. I feel it in my body. So
Yes.
I'm excited for this. And also the massage therapist. I'm signing up. So also, what if somebody is having a hard time affording this, or in this season they can't afford it? What's our plan?
Great question. It is $99 to come and spend the whole day with us. And we realize that there are women in this room, you're in a season of life where that is no big deal to you. You can buy your ticket and her ticket and her ticket, and you could buy 5 tickets or 10 tickets, and that's amazing because you're living in a season of plenty where you can be generous and give a gift. There are others of us, many of us, who are living in the season of lack, and we're like, oh, $99, that's steep. That's a lot. I can't do that. And so we want you to receive. We want to make a match between our givers and our receivers. And all the receivers have to do is email info@3:00wakeup, and we will make that match. And we won't be disclosing who paid and who didn't pay. Everyone will be
We're just
invited.
trusting God that He's going to make a way for everybody.
Make a way.
He's a
We
way
want
maker.
all of you here.
Yeah.
Nothing should stop you from being here. Not the snow, not the cost. No, we are going to have an incredible day with Jesus. Incredible day with Jesus.
That's right. And so with that, I think we probably can say,
Oh, one quick thing. For our friends who are coming out of town, or if you want to make it a girls' weekend, we have a discount with a local hotel, and you could, have an incredible weekend.
yeah.
So I'm just thinking of our Kansas friends. Ladies, we've got tons of women working in a hospital in Kansas watching us.
Yeah, come.
Come.
Come to Colorado. We'll
We'd
make
love
it
to have
fun.
you.
And
We'd
can
love
you
to
bring
have you.
Kelsey and Taylor with you, please? Never mind. You know, Taylor Swift and
Oh, yeah.
Travis Kelsey.
Oh,
Travis
that
Kelce.
too?
Yeah.
That too. Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Sure. Do that too. Whatever she said.
The football players in Kansas. I need that from Kansas right now.
Okay.
Okay, anyway.
Swifty.
Yeah, I'm a Swiftie.
Swifty!
All right,
We got to say
anyway,
goodbye.
So, goodbye to our online streamers. If you're here in the room, we're going to go into circles
Yes. Small group.
and look at your numbers to find your way. If you're lost, you should ask me. I don't know if I can show you the way, but I'll try. We're so glad you guys are here.
Thank you for
Hope you
being
have a
here.
great
Have
small
a
group
wonderful
time.
small group. We love